Hi guys, so this is a tutorial just to show you how to snap an image to a particular point. So I'm going to run a video now just to show an example. Let me just refresh that again. Okay, so we move the image around, we move it near the box, it detects it, and then once we let go, it snaps to the middle. Right, so to set everything up, I'm just going to add a 2D image, and we're just going to duplicate that now. We'll call the first one image 1. Image 1 is going to be the image we're going to be dragging around, and we call the second one a holder. So it's going to be the box that we are dragging it to. I will change the color of this one so we just know the difference. We'll make this one red for now. We will duplicate this one and call this one background, holder background. So I'm just going to call it holder BKG for background, just for short. So we've added image 1, which is the image we're going to be dragging, holder, which is where we're going to be dragging it to, and holder background, just to make it look good. So for image 1, I'm going to click on image 1 and select the image we're going to be dragging. So this is it here. I'm going to select holder. I'm going to hide the image 1 layer for now. I'm going to select holder and add the dashed background, and then for the holder background I'm going to add the rounded cube. I'm going to make the textures none, that way because I've already compressed them, it also keeps them nice and sharp. So all none. Let's go here and make this one none as well. Right, so we have 3 images. They are different layers. So image 1, holder, which is the dots, and we have the holder background. So holder background is just the color. As you can see, the original rounded cube is white, so we can change the color easily. I always try to make images white, or any texture white that I want to add color to. Just makes it a lot easier. So for the background, then reduce the opacity to like 50%. And for the holder, you will see what I'm going to do now. So the holder, you see the dotted line. What I'm going to do is scale them down. So I'm just going to scale. So I'm going to scale down the holder and holder background to, let's say, 0.8. 0.8. And let's put this 0.8. 0.8. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is move this, both of them, slightly higher up. So this is the location where we're going to drag image 1. And I'll select image 1 and make image 1. I'll make image 1 0.7. So that it fits nicely like this. Right, so actually let's make them a bit smaller. So I'll make this one 0.6. 0.6. Make this 0.6. 6. So you can move two images, two rectangles at the same time. You click on one of them. So you click on one of them first and then you hold down Control or Command button if you're on the Mac. Click the second thing and you've selected multiple items. So I like the position of holder right there. So for image 1, I'm going to reduce image 1. Let's see, image. So holder was 0.6, so we'll make image 1 0.45. Right, so that I'm just going to test it so that it fits in. Yes, so that it fits in nicely. So let's just make it. Let's make it 0.5. So let's make it 0.5. Yeah, that's better. Right, so I'm going to move this back down to here. So this is the image we want it. We want it to snap to this, so that when we move it with our finger, and it hits here, and we let go of our finger, it just snaps to that point. Right, so I'm going to click on this visual scripting to enable our visual script. So what we do is we need a screen pan. Screen pan helps us to have our finger on the screen and move the image around. So add node, screen pan here. Okay, so we have the screen pan here. So what we actually need is the position, so that when we move the image around, we get the position of our finger on the screen. So I'm gonna split this, and that gives us the X and Y value of screen pan. So that we can see more of the screen, I'm just going to click on this unduck button, click this, and you have a bigger visual scripting, and we have to remap the values. So copy this again, remap the values. So we remap them from 0, the initial inputs and minimum. The initial minimum and maximum is 0 to 1, and we just have to remap them. So there is documentation that I will link in the description from the Effect House website, showing you, telling you about remapping and screen pan. So you can click on Y and click on your mouse and drag it left and right to move. There's a very quick way, shortcut. So this is a shortcut of how to move an image really quickly. So you see the values are 200. The values go crazy. So I'm just going to bring this here. So you can see if I move this to the top, it's 512. If I move this to the bottom, it's minus 512. If I move this to the edge, it's minus 232. If I move this to this side, it's 232. So we have to remap it to these values, so that it follows, so that our finger and the image, they follow each other properly. I'm going to move it to the middle, and I'm going to map it, as you see, minus 360 and plus 360. So the minimum is minus 360 and the maximum is 360. That is for the x-axis, and for the y, I'm going to move this to the bottom here, which is minus 640, and move it to the top to see what that is. That's 640. So the minimum is minus 640 and the maximum is 640. Right, so we've mapped those. So after we have remapped it, we need to combine these two values back to vector 2. So click on combine. That's for the X and for the Y. And we can then connect this. You can see now we have some higher numbers that track to the image coordinates. Right, so I'm just going to drag this from the corner so that we can see it, and I'm going to drag this corner as well. So what we need, actually let me just dock this. So what we need is image, we need a position. So we go here, I'm just going to set this back to 0. So we need a position. Click on this here and then set position. So we set the position here and we connect this output to this value here, and for set, scroll back out and we connect this next output to set. Right, and then we should be able to, there we go. So now it's wherever the finger goes, your image goes as well. And if you let go, it stays there. And you can bring it back down here and it stays. So we've got that working. And just move these out of the way. Right, so this section here, we can right click, comment. So this section here is the screen pan. So we're just going to make it, we are just going to rename it screen pan. So that is the screen pan section. Now what we want to do is we want to, every time we move this image to this box, we want it to detect that it is actually in this box. So I created a simple subgraph for this so that you don't have to keep on redesigning it here, which you can get, I'll link it in the description. And that way we can check for the collision between this image and the holder. So for this, we will use the holder background and get the image position and image size. So position, get position, and we get the size. Get size. Oh, no, not that one. Get size. Right. And we connect these ones here. And the output is detect boundaries. We connect this detect boundaries to point in rectangle. So essentially what this is doing is we are detecting the border of the holder. So essentially we are detecting the border of the holder so that when we move this image into this space, it gets detected. So point in rectangle, and then for the detection point is where our finger is. So it's where we're holding this image. So we go back here and we get this. I'm just going to do combine. So this is Y, this is X. So we combine these, bring it to the outputs, connect it to the detect point, and we just put an update. We update this. We update the point in rectangle just to keep it active, so it's always detecting. And then for the outputs, what I'm going to do, just for an example, I'll just put an if node, so that just to test it out. So when we move it over, it should, you see, it went blue, which means it's actually working. So once we go inside the boundaries, it goes blue. We come away and it switches off. Right, so that shows that it's working. For visual detection, we can change the backgrounds to a different color. So we can set the color value. Let me put this over here. And I'm also going to use a pulse to Boolean subgraph that I created. It basically allows you to send the pulse and convert it to a Boolean, so that you can trigger different things. But you can also reset it, so it switches it on and you can switch it back off. So to switch it on, we'll put pulse in here, and to switch it off, we'll reset it that way. What we're going to do is then connect the Boolean to a logic select, which is like an if then type node, if else type node, as you can see here. But instead of this, we convert this to color, and we select the color. So the starting color, let's make it red. Move this up, and when it's, sorry, the other way around, we'll make this one green, so that when it is detected, when it is positive, it goes green, and as default it is red. So red will be default, and then it goes green afterwards. So we then connect this to that color, and then we keep it updated. So we add an update node above here. Just connect this to here. Boom. All right, so that we'll just give this a test and see if it's working. So we'll move this again in. See, it's gone green, which means it's detected it, and we come out, it's red. So this is useful just for visual aid, just to make us see that it is actually working. And here we can then name this section comment visual detection. Okay, right, so this is nice and simple. We're just trying to keep it simple. Instead of this logic, you could use a lerp, and this way you can smooth out the transition between the green and red. So instead of numbers, you just go to color, and again you can smooth out the transition between the two colors. So I'll delete that. All right, so now the snap section, to snap it to the holder. What we can do, we will start with the transit by time nodes. And with this node, what we want to do is, I mean, there are a few different ways to probably do this section, but this way is probably easier for people to just follow along. But again, play around with this. You can modify it if you want, but this is one way of doing it. So we use the transit by time node, and what we need from this is also, we need the finger touch one point. Finger touch one point is a nice little node because it detects your finger on the screen, but it also outputs some really cool. It also has some really cool outputs. For example, when it's idle, it's always triggered. When you touch the screen, it triggers. when your hand is still on the screen, it's active, and then when you remove your hands from, when you remove your finger, so when I say hand, I mean finger. When you remove your finger from the screen, it's also, it triggers this one, and you can also get the position of your finger as well, from here. So I'm going to use stay and on, and I'll show you how. So we're going to use this node again. We're going to use the pulse to Boolean just to check a condition, but we want to get a condition where if the image moves into the holder, anywhere in the holder, and we remove our finger from the screen, it will snap to the middle like this and stay there. So we want an AND node. So let's see, and so we want an AND, yeah, we want an AND node. I've connected it up like this. I'll show you why. So, and I've also introduced a Boolean to pulse. So we want to convert this Boolean back to a pulse. So the right, so we have the AND node, and we want this output from here. So I'm going to connect it to the top one, and I'm going to connect this one to the bottom one, and I will show you what we're trying to do right now. So we connect this here, and so we want it to trigger a few things. So we're going to give it a sequence, have a sequence here, and one of these sequences will trigger this transit by time. Let's make this bigger so we can see what we're doing. So to explain this AND node, what we're trying to do is when we have the image in the holder detected and we have our finger off the screen, we want the snap action to happen. Right, so I'm just going to get the image position, image, get position. Make this bigger again, but we already have the holder position here. So I'm just going to copy that and paste it here. So the start will be from the image position where the image is, wherever the image is left on the screen, and we want it to end up where the holder is. So that is this position here. We're just going to keep it linear for now. Duration, let's make it short and snappy. Let's make it 0.3. 0.3 seconds. When this condition is true, we want the snap action from image position to holder position to be active. And when this condition is false, we want the hand tracking to still be an option. So gets a little bit messy here. We will have to, I'm just going to extend this a bit. Right, so we want the final output to be here, and the hand tracking, sorry, the finger screen pan we want it to be down here, so that when nothing is happening, we can just move the image around with our finger and it just outputs through this port here. But when the condition is true, it then switches to move from wherever the image is, and it goes straight to the holder. Right, so we need to now trigger this. So to trigger this, we will need another pulse to Boolean, because we need a pulse from here. So My bad. So pulse to Boolean. And then to reset it, we will just have let's see. Stop to reset. So let's have a sequence here. And this will keep it reset. Right, so let's test this out and see if it actually works. Oh, one more thing. So we still need to, we will realize that when we are moving our, I'll just minimize this. You will notice that when we are panning, screen pan, you'll notice that when we are panning, the screen pan next is active. You see the little blue dot here becomes active. When we start moving around, this becomes active. When we stop, it deactivates, which means that any value that comes in here won't make any difference. So for that, we need to then still trigger this. So we will connect stay, and let's go up. See, so we'll connect stay to this, so that when we remove our finger, which triggers transit by time, it can still continue updating itself here. All right, let's test it out and see. So this is still working. The screen pan, following our finger around. When we get here, it's still detecting. When we remove our finger, boom, it snaps to the middle. So that is working, and you can see it stays there. So let me just refresh that again. Okay, so we move the image around, we move it near the box, it detects it, and then once we let go, it snaps to the middle. See, that is all working. So I broke it down like this so that you can learn from different sections. I'm just going to maximize this again, and using this reset graph view, we'll bring everything to the middle, and we will label this section snap. One second. We will label this section snap. Snap to holder. All right, so as I said, I broke it down like this so that you can just understand the different sections. You have the screen pan section. The screen pan is a little bit similar to the finger touch one, but this is a good way, just in case you wanted to have another project and you just wanted a screen pan, then you can use this method here. And then a bit of remapping to convert it to the rectangle, the image coordinates, image 2D coordinates. And then just some simple collision to just detect when we're in that box, in the holder. When we're in the holder, it switches colors, which is quite cool. And then we can, so yes, and then we've got this snap to holder. Once we remove our finger, it snaps to the center of the holder. So from this section here, you can actually take another output and trigger something else. So instead of changing color, you can animate something, you could scale something, you could you can do something else. You could smoothen out the transition between these two colors. So this will be your major output here to trigger things. So if you don't want a Boolean, then you can use this one here as a pulse. So you can use the pulse if you want, or you can use the Boolean. Right. So hope you find this useful. You will see in the description, you will see the subgraphs that I mentioned. These are just some really cool ways to just save time, convert one signal to the other type of signal, play around with them, see what you think. But let's go back. Yes, so we reset it, refresh it. And yeah, just to let you know, this image can be anywhere. So you could start it off, this is the image here. It's 0, 0, but you could make it start here, so that when you refresh, it's always here, and then you can just drag it and it snaps. Thanks for watching, and if you find it useful, tag me. You will see my socials down in the description. So just tag me so I can see the projects that you finally used it on. Thanks again. Bye.